Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All right, from here we're going to have our executive moray to bring us in with prayer.
Hallelujah. Abinu Shabbat Shemayim, Yi Kadeshim Ka, or Yi Barak Makuka, Resuka Yaya, Yeshui Bashemayim, Ud Ba'areb, Ud An Lak Menu Tabadi, Umakulanu, Anukata Inu, Ka Ashara Anaknu, Mukalim, Ud Al Tabinu, Lahide. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Nasayun Shamranu Makara. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom will come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our debts, as we forgive our debtors. But lead us not into temptation, and deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom forever. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Okay, so without further ado, Bishop McCobb, we're going to bring up our executive moray, Moray Yahuah, and we're going to have another dynamic speaking as we did last week. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All right. All right. Okay.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Hallelujah. Is that too loud, though?
No.
Okay, then. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
We thank the Most High for allowing us to come out and celebrate and fellowship on another one of his set-apart Shabbats. We just thank him for his goodness, kindness, and his mercy. We thank him for his righteousness. We thank him for his set-apartness. We just thank him for all the good that he's done within our life. We appreciate all the many wonderful blessings that he has bestowed upon us. We thank him for his favor. We thank him for his hedge of protection that he daily places around us to protect us from all hurt, harm, and danger seen and unseen. So at this time, we're going to get into our lesson, and we're going to do a continuation of the book of the covenant versus the book of the law. Last week, we began to look at some things, and we began to identify and differentiate the difference between the book of the covenant and the book of the law. And there used to be some markers on this card, didn't it? And so what we find out is we went all the way back and we began to look at Abraham and how when the covenant was made with him, it started out being an unconditional covenant. But because of a lack of faith or belief in the word of the Most High, conditions were placed upon that covenant. So when we begin to look at the book of the covenant, we also identified that it was made at Sinai, but it was pre-sin of the golden calf. So with that being said, we're going to continue this lesson, and we are going to just see can we pull some more from what we looked at last week and just sit down. See how we can gain more understanding from this. Okay, we had the book of the covenant. And the book of the law. Now what's key is placement of these two books. What was the book of the covenant placed?
Inside the Ark of the Covenant.
Inside the Ark of the Covenant. Inside AOC, Ark of the Covenant. Where was the book of the law placed?
On the side of the Ark of the Covenant.
Okay, on the side or in the side? In the side of the AOC. Inside the Ark of the Covenant. What did he say about the book of the law and its placement? Now, the placement is strategic. It's placed there for a reason. Does anybody know why it was placed in the side of the ark and the purpose of it?
As a witness against Yashra'al.
As a witness against Yashra'al. This one that's placed in the side of the ark is to remind them of this one that they broke.
Right.
When they broke this one right here, what did they do? They kind of ended a marriage. They committed whoredom. I mean, it was no longer than 40 days. They committed whoredom and adultery just that fast. So we have this one is a witness against, I'm going to go with the English version, Israel. A witness against them to remind them of this one, the one they broke. This is very understanding. This is key to understanding what's going on in the New Testament. Because something happened, and I don't even know if we understand the detriment of what took place when they broke this covenant. But we're going to be able to do a little reading today, and we're going to see some things. Also, we see that this one here, the book of the covenant, is what? Faith-based. How do we know it's faith-based? What happened to let us know that that covenant was faith-based?
Because,
Not you more English. Anybody else? What happened to let us know that the book of the covenant was faith-based?
Because of Abraham's covenant with the Father.
Because of Abraham's covenant with the Father. Then when he got to Yashra'al at Sinai, how do we know it was faith-based?
He said after the covenant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Right, but what else? There was a word spoken. And Israel responded to those words.
Everything that you say we will do.
Everything you do what?
That you say we should.
That you say we will do. We will do.
that's right.
Some action with that thing.
And Israel is so obedient. Didn't they do just what he said?
No.
Not. We will do. Now, what we see with this covenant here, all this is very important. Now, okay, this was a covenant. Promise. See, it's very important. It's imperative that we understand this right here and key in on this right here. Covenant of promise. Now with the book of the law, was it faith-based?
No.
It wasn't, was, I know my handwriting's terrible, right? Was not faith-based. How do we know it wasn't faith-based?
Because it was based on works.
Say it again.
It was based on works.
It was based on works, but a little more technical than how do we know it wasn't faith-based? What was required for this covenant right here? Okay, it was faith. Hey, somebody else said something good too.
Somebody said blood and sacrifice.
Who said that?
Correct.
Quran. Okay then. Oh, ratification.
Right.
Was the books of the law blood ratified?
No.
Not covenant, you cannot do what with it? You cannot add, nor take away from it. So, a blood ratified covenant, you cannot add or take away for or null. You cannot null a blood ratified covenant. So, Book of the Covenant, inside of the Ark of the Covenant, faith-based. We know that because they spoke these words that what? We will do. It's a covenant of what?
Blood ratification.
I said it's a covenant of what?
Faith. Promise.
Promise. Okay, what is the promise? When we say it's a covenant of promise, what are we talking about?
Abraham,
Okay, what about Abraham?
he was approached, right?
Huh?
He was approached and told about his seed, right?
Yeah, he was approached and told about his seed, but was that all he was promised? Land as well.
Inheritance.
What?
Inheritance.
Inheritance. Key. So, that word inheritance, if this covenant was broke right here, did you any longer have an inheritance?
No.
So what has to happen in order for you to get that inheritance?
Atonement.
Okay, atonement for a while. But after atonement, what?
Someone has to die.
Someone has to die. Thank you, Moray. Now let's go ahead and start reading. Because I keep telling y'all, do y'all not know I talked to a brother, I haven't spoken with him for about probably like 6 or 7 months, and I should be ashamed. But he has a close brother, another friend y'all know. I said, hey man, so when the last time you talked to Aki so-and-so? He's like, well, bro, he was beating around the bush at first. He said, well, it's been about since last Pesach. And they were best friends. I'm like, last Pesach? He was like, yeah, we had a little disagreement, and he said, I forgave him, but I guess, some people, they can't let stuff go or whatever. And I said, so y'all had a disagreement? I said, well, what happened so bad that y'all haven't spoken to each other in a year? He said, well, we were, he said, you remember last Pesach, and I called you, and I asked you about the intestines in the lamb, should we take them out? I said, you told me, yeah, you should take them out because they will pollute the meat if you don't. I said, you have to take the entrails out. The intestines come out or it will pollute the meat.
Right.
And he said, yeah, he said he disagreed and we had a falling out over it and we haven't spoken since then. A whole year gone by, you got two brothers who have not spoken over a lamb and how it should be cooked, how it should be done at Pesach. And this is the thing I'm trying to get at to show y'all today. When you get caught up and you have discrepancies over a lamb, do you not know you're disqualifying everything that Mashiyach did? He's the lamb. He fulfilled the atonement. He fulfills it all. So why would you be falling out of lamb? We finna show that right here in Scripture. Because people are stumbling over some stuff that they shouldn't. Let's turn to Ephesians 2 and 15 right quick. Ephesians 2 and 15. Let's look at something. Matter of fact, Moray, if you don't mind reading it. Ephesians 2:15. Ephesians 2:15.
Having abolished in his flesh.
Having abolished in his flesh. Who's the his we're talking about here? Mashiyach. Having abolished in his flesh
The enmity. Even the law of commandments.
Stop right there. Pay very close attention. Even the law of commandments
Contained in ordinances.
Contained in ordinances. Go ahead, Warren.
For to make in himself of twain one new man, so making peace.
16.
And that he might reconcile both unto Yahuah in one body by the cross, having slain the enmity thereby. Or by
Okay.
himself.
By
In himself. Excuse me.
Okay then. So, having abolished in the flesh the enmity, even the law of commandments contained in ordinances. Which laws are we talking about that were contained in ordinances? The sacrifices. Not the book of the law. There was only a certain portion of the book of the law that was what? Contained in ordinances. Okay then. So now, let's go over to 2 Timothy 1 and 10. 2 Timothy 1 and 10.
2 Timothy 1. 2 Timothy 1 through 10.
Yes, sir.
Thou therefore, my son, be strong in the esteem that is in the Mashiyach, and the things that thou hast heard of me, or by me, among many witnesses. The same commit you to faithful men, who shall be able to teach others also. Thou therefore endure hardness, as a good soldier of the Mashiyach. No man that warreth entangle himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who hath chosen him to be a soldier. And if any man also strive for mastery, yet is he not crowned, except he strive lawfully.
More, you read 2 Timothy, the first chapter.
Oh, excuse me, the second chapter. Oh, excuse me, all right. 2 Timothy, the first chapter. Okay. Paul, an apostle of the Mashiyach, by the will of Elohim, according to the promise of life, which is in the Mashiyach.
Stop right there. According to what?
The promise of
The promise of life, which is in what?
In the Mashiyach.
In Mashiyach. Keep that in mind. The promise of life, which is in Mashiyach. That's very important. Go ahead.
To Timothy, my dearly beloved son, esteem, mercy, and peace from Yahuah the Father and the Mashiyach our Sovereign. I thank Elohim, whom I serve from my forefathers with pure consciousness, or pure conscience, that without ceasing I have remembrance of you in my prayers night and day, greatly desiring to see you, being mindful of your tears, that I may be filled with joy, when I call to remembrance the unfeigned faith that is in you, which dwelt first in your grandmother Lois and thy mother Eunice. And I am persuaded that in thee also. Wherefore I put you in remembrance that you stir up the gift of Elohim which is in you by putting on of my hands. For Elohim hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. Be not thou therefore ashamed of the testimony of Yahuah, nor of me, his prisoner. Be thou partaker of the affliction of the good news according to the esteem of the power of Elohim, who has saved us and called us and set apart calling, not according to works. Not according to works, but according to his own purpose and esteem, which was given us in the Mashiyach before the world began, but is now made manifest by the appearing of our Savior, the Mashiyach, who hath abolished death, and hath brought life and immortality to light through the good news.
Stop right there. But is now made manifest by the appearing of our Savior, Mashiyach Yahusha, who hath abolished death. Who hath abolished death and hath what? Brought life and immortality to light through the good news. Very important. Abolish death. So, when we say Mashiyach abolished death, in what way would he have abolished death?
To get rid of the sacrificial law.
Okay, to get rid of the sacrificial law. Let's go back to Deuteronomy. Let me see. Deuteronomy. Y'all know we're going back to the golden calf, right? Because remember, it said he had what? Abolished death. So, with this covenant right here, when it was broken, what happened?
Death entered.
Say it, don't be scared.
Death entered.
Death entered. Death was required now. So, when this covenant was broken, death was required. Moray just said a few minutes ago, what did you say, Moray?
Someone has to die.
Someone has to die. Because remember, the inheritance was lost, remember?
Right.
Because the covenant was broken. Somebody had to die. But Mashiyach, we're going to get to that. We're going to see why it's important that Mashiyach comes. So, if he abolished death, and we know death came with the covenant, it was instituted, so when the covenant was broken, somebody had to die. What about until Mashiyach came? Matter of fact, let's go to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. The 22nd chapter, we're going to start at the first verse. Deuteronomy, the 27th chapter. And we're going to start at verse 1.
You said Deuteronomy 27?
Yes, sir.
And Moshe, with the elders of Yashra'al, commanded the people, saying, keep all the commandments which I command you this day. And it shall be on the day when you shall pass over Jordan into the land which Yahuah thy Elohim giveth you, thou shalt set up.
You know what, Maury? Hold that right there. Yahuah, get Bereshit 49, 1 through 10. Yeah, you hold that right there, Maury. I'm sorry.
Bereshit 49.
Yes. Genesis 49, verse 1 through 10.
Okay.
Because remember, we just said the book of the covenant, we lost the inheritance because the covenant was broken. So let's see what has to take place.
Okay. Genesis chapter 49, verses 1 through 10. And Jacob called unto his sons, and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. Gather yourselves together, and hear, ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Yashra'al your father. Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity, and the excellency of power. Unstable as water, thou shalt not excel, because thou wentest up to thy father's bed, then defouledst thou it, he went up to my couch. Simeon and Levi are brethren, instruments of cruelty are in their habitations. O